Now, one of the things that comes up in relation to this very conversation is the level of responsibility, if any, that perhaps creditors should shoulder in this, and what people's perceptions of that are. Donna, do you have some thoughts on that?
Yeah, to John's point earlier, it's pretty easy to get credit for the most part these days if you want it. Um, I don't know the exact percentage, but I would say, of all the people that we meet with, if somebody has one type of debt product like a payday loan, they have multiples of them. It seems to be pretty easy to get uh, debt, especially unsecured debt like that. I think most people probably have more than one credit card, and so I think that it's the creditors themselves, whether it's their internal quotas, sales targets, all the different things that they're looking at in allowing this credit, or approving, I guess is a better word, approving this credit for people. Um, I do think that they need to assess everything as well. I don't think, from what I can see, a lot of them check credit reports ahead of time, or at least not in depth, if you will.
Hmm.
Does this person already have 5 credit cards before I give them a sixth one? And so I think that creditors could do a little bit more work and delving in, asking questions. And with so much online information and online applications, it's easy to apply for credit online. That's really not, I think, looked into as much as it should be by these creditors.
Hmm. No, some great points on that. Yeah, I think that certainly in North America at least. I mean, there are other jurisdictions in the world where I think there's a little more responsibility placed on the creditors to ensure, I guess, responsible lending, shall we say? In North America, that's really not the case. Most of the onus is placed on the individual who's obtaining the credit, and I think there's a false sense that for a lot of people, a lot of borrowers, that the creditor has done some sort of calculation in the background to determine, well, that I can manage this credit okay, that this is appropriate for my circumstances. When, as you've just pointed out, Donna, there's sometimes very little calculation or evaluation going on, and it falls totally to the person obtaining the credit to make some determination as to whether they can manage it or not. And of course, in conjunction with that, sometimes debtors, borrowers are really not very cognizant of the amount of interest that's being charged on some of these loans. And so we're finding that, when they actually realize the full cost of it, and how long, for example, a loan or something like that is going to go on for, it makes it more difficult. And the longer that someone has debt, and the larger that debt is over time, the more likely that something will happen during the time that they're trying to repay the debt that could impede their ability to pay it. And whether that's a health problem, a job loss, or whatever the case may be, those things all come up, right? So